Agriculture. Yeah, you can see from the poster, as mentioned, our speaker is from the University of Malaya. So, well, we know that the University of Malaya is listed in GS 100 by subject, particularly in the subject of agriculture. And the topic today is also in line with the vision of our faculty vision, which is integrated sustainable agriculture. So then, of course, sustainable agriculture is really an important issue nowadays in the field of agriculture. What is the recent issue in the sustainable agriculture, particularly in Asia? We will hear from the speaker today. But before the talk, let us listen to an opening remark from the Vice Dean of the Faculty of Agriculture, Dr. Eka Handayanta. To Dr. Eka Handayanta, please, the time is yours.
Okay, thank you very much, Pak Dimas. How about my sound? It's clear?
Good, yeah, clear.
Okay. The Honorable Dr. Muhammad Mehdi Masud from University of Malaya, colleagues from Faculty of Agriculture, Universitas 11 Maret, all participants of the workshop and international webinar QS 100. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. And good afternoon to all of you. Personally and on behalf of the faculty, board of the Faculty of Agriculture, I would like to welcome you to the workshop and international webinar QS 100. This activity is organized by the Faculty of Agriculture, Universitas 11 Maret. This activity will be organized from 12 up to 15 October 2020. I am so pleased that in this activity we can invite world-class scientists from University of Malaya, Dr. Muhammad Mehdi Masud. They are really experts in their field. So thank you for Dr. Mehdi for your valuable time to give a talk in this event. I hope this activity can be really useful for all participants to get insight about sustainable agriculture development in Asia. Finally, I do really hope that after this activity, the communication between the Faculty of Agriculture and the speaker can be continued. And thus, we can invite collaboration in the future for various activity, including research and academic activity, as we know that the University of Malaya is one of the universities listed in QS 100 by subject of agriculture. To fulfill the request from the organizer, I would like to officially open this event by Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. So a very warm welcome to each and every one of you, and please enjoy the lecture. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam. Thank you, Dr. Eka Handayanta, our Vice Dean here. So for your warm welcoming and also opening remark. Yeah, we know that all of the Vice Dean and also our Dean is very busy almost every day. So thank you so much for your valuable time as well to come to this event to give an opening remark. So dear participants, let us move to the main agenda, which is a talk from our distinguished speaker. Let me introduce him first. I will open his curriculum vitae. He is currently a senior lecturer at the Department of Development Studies, Faculty of Economics and Administration, University of Malaya, Malaysia. And he published a book by Palgrave Macmillan in 2019, and some book chapters and over 50 scientific articles in internationally peer-reviewed journal, particularly in the field of sustainable development. Okay. Then currently he leads several research projects such as the Fundamental Research Grant Schemes, Long-Term Research Grant Schemes, and faculty projects. His research interests cover sustainable development, development economics, environmental impact assessment, ecotourism development, which is also relevant with our faculty, climate change, it's also a hot topic, adaptation and mitigation, community development. This is one of our obligation, our responsibility as a lecturer here in Indonesia, because every year we have to do at least one community development project, and means of livelihood, poverty, and social mobility. He has received several awards, such as the Academic Excellence Award, Excellence Award based on the most high impact publication, and the Bangladeshi Students' Night Award from the University of Malaya. Now he is an associate editor of the Journal of Institutions and Economic, and an editorial board member for Ecofeminism and Climate Change, and International Journal of Environment and Sustainable Development. Currently, his Scopus H index is 17. So if you come to our faculty, I think you will be the man with the highest score of Scopus H index, Dr. Mehdi. Okay, so please welcome Dr. Muhammad Mehdi Masud from University of Malaya. Thank you so much, Dr. Mehdi, for coming to this event. So how are you? I think you are so good because we. Yes.
Alhamdulillah, I'm fine, Dr.
Okay.
Myself. Going to share my screen first.
Yeah, okay. So I think you have about 40 minutes for your talks, and later on we will open for discussion based on your available time, because I know that you also have some other schedules today. And for participants who want to ask or discuss something with the speaker, please write down in the chat box, or you can also ask directly through open mic later on during the Q&A session. So please, Dr. Muhammad Mehdi Masud, the time is yours. Okay.
Thank you very much, Dr. Dimas. Assalamu alaikum and good afternoon to everyone. First and foremost, I'd like to thank the moderator, Dr. Dimas, for inviting me to speak about sustainable agricultural development. I would also like to express my sincere thanks to Professor Dr. Ika Handayanta, the Vice Dean of the Faculty of Agriculture, Universitas Sebelas Maret, Indonesia. Today, I'm going to talk about sustainable agricultural development in Asia, a brief overview. As we know that agriculture is the backbone of Asian economy. It is estimated that more than 2.2 billion people in the Asian region rely on agriculture for their livelihoods. So agriculture is essential to economic development, to food security, and as well as to nutrition development. In order to achieve healthy, sustainable, and inclusive food system, sustainable agricultural development is paramount. As we know that world leaders have targeted 17 Sustainable Development Goals to achieve by 2030. Particularly, Sustainable Development Goal 2, Zero Hunger, for ending hunger and undernutrition by 2030. So it is only possible to achieve this goal, Sustainable Development Goal 2, by having sustainable economic transformation. Economic transformation is essential to achieve sustainable development, particularly Sustainable Development Goals 2 for ending hunger and undernutrition by 2030. Economic transformation, also called a structural transformation. That means shifting from traditional technology to modern technology, shifting from agriculture to industry and manufacturing, and then to a high-income service economy. Let me give you an example. In 1978, China's GDP per capita was $155 only, whereas in 2020, $10,500. Certainly, it was possible due to economic transformation. However, here is my argument. Beside economic transformation, we need sustainable agricultural transformation by using modern innovation, by using modern technology. This is because agricultural development is one of the most powerful tools to end extreme poverty, to boost shared prosperity, to feed a projected 9.7 billion people by 2050. As you know that being home of half of the world's population, Asia possesses only 1/5 of the world's agricultural land. So major concern is here how to feed the additional growing population in Asia. Some of you might say that Asia has made significant, substantial production advances over the previous 50 years. However, their production lesser yields, produce lesser yields compared to other regions. Let's take a look at Asia's agricultural landscape. I will start with the example of Indonesia. The contribution of agriculture to Indonesian GDP is decreasing over 1983 to 2020, as shown in this diagram. However, the population is growing, and particularly the middle class spending is increasing faster than ever before. Then let's look at Malaysia. What is going on in Malaysia? Look at this figure. This figure shows the same trend as Indonesia. That means the contribution of agriculture to the Malaysian economy has been declined over the years from 1960 to 2020. Let's look at this table. this table will give you the picture of ASEAN countries. This table compares only 2 years data, 2018 and 2019. It demonstrates that agricultural contribution to the ASEAN economy is decreasing, but there is some exception of Cambodia, the Philippines, and Thailand. Similarly, if you look at the employment sharing is also decreasing, exception with Brunei. So it implies that it will contribute to unemployment in the foreseeable future. Then if you look at the export sharing, the percentage of export sharing is stagnant, not growing, okay? As well as import sharing, on the other hand, is on the rise. So which is concerning, which is an alarming, because it may increase dependency ratio on other nations. Let's look at the ASEAN paddy production of 5 major paddy producers in ASEAN, 2010 to 2019. As we all know that rice is the most significant crop in Asia, and it is accounting for 90% of global production and consumption. However, 5 of ASEAN main paddy growers are reporting lower yields. You can see 2018 to 2019 and onward. Then let's look at the greater picture, East Asia and Pacific. Overall, East Asia and Pacific, we could see the similar downward trends over the years. As a result, agriculture's production and economic contribution have been declining over the years in Asia. So the fundamental question now is why it is happening, why it is occurring. So of course, answer is due to unsustainable agricultural development. Because unsustainable agricultural practices contributes 2 types of damage, 2 types of effects. One is environmental damages, another one is human impact, okay? So that means unsustainable agricultural practices reduce biodiversity. Unsustainable agricultural practices contributes to habitat destruction. Unsustainable agricultural practices are involved in deforestation. In unsustainable agricultural system, we use water resources inefficiently that contribute to land subsidence. And also it contributes to degradation of land resources. For example, 2 billion hectares of land worldwide are seriously degraded, some irreversibly. Then we use fertilizer and pesticides improperly. That leads to soil pollution, salinization, and loss of arable land. We are also facing water scarcity. Almost 70% of world surface water supplies are used for farming. And last but not least, unsustainable agricultural practices also contribute to pollution, air pollution, water pollution, as well as contribute to greenhouse gas emission. Let's look at the impact of unsustainable agricultural practices on human being. Unsustainable agricultural practices contribute to farmland destruction. It contributes to damage to soil fertility, soil quality. It reduces nutritional value of food. So it contributes to decrease economic, social, and cultural values. And it also increases inequality. As we can see that 80% of hungry people live in rural areas, then marginalization of the poor and women producers are systematically excluded from decision-making and often lack access to land, lack access to water resources, lack access to lack access to information market, lack access to extension services. And also unsustainable agricultural practices contribute to loss of community and household resilience to climate and economic shocks. So that's why we are facing serious problem in our agricultural sector. So now, again, the fundamental question is, what are the solutions? How we can solve these issues? Of course, the answer is sustainable agricultural development. So let's look at the definition of sustainable agriculture. What is sustainable agricultural development? The US Farm Bill 1990 defines that sustainable agriculture is an integrated system of plant and animal production practices, having a site-specific applications that will, over the long term, satisfy human food and fiber needs, that will enhance environmental quality and the natural resource base upon which the agricultural economy depends. That means the sustainable agriculture makes the most efficient use of non-renewable resources and one from resources and integrate where appropriate natural biological cycles and controls. That will sustain the economic viability of farm operations, as well as it will enhance the quality of life for farmers and society as a whole. So this definition is given by US Farm Bill 1990. Look at another definition is given by FAO, Food and Agriculture Organization. The management of and conservation of the natural resource base and the orientation of technological and institutional change in such a manner as to ensure the attainment and continued satisfaction of human needs for present and future generations. So such development includes conservation of land, conservation of water, conservation of plant and animal genetic resources, and it is also environmentally non-degrading, technically appropriate, economically viable, and socially acceptable. So these are the two definitions. So if you look at these two definitions have the same inner meaning. That means a sustainable farm should be a profitable business that contributes to a robust economy. Sustainable agriculture should deal fairly with its workers and have a mutually beneficial relationship with the surrounding community and the environment. And its goal is good stewardship of natural systems and resources. So this is the inner meaning of sustainable agricultural development. Why are we concerned about agricultural development, particularly in Asia? So, ladies and gentlemen, I will give you few reasons. There are a lot of reasons why we are very much concerned about agricultural development in Asia. So I will give you a few reasons. Number one, Asia is home to more than half of the world's population. That means half of the world's population live in Asia. And it is estimated that 2 billion Asians are members of middle class. And this number may increase to 3.5 billion by 2030. Certainly, this number will boost demand for food and agricultural commodities as well as natural resources. Approximately 1 billion people live in extreme poverty. And ironically, 3/4 of those people live in rural areas dependent on agriculture. And if you look at the current world figure, currently between 720 to 811 million people are suffering from hunger. Another reason is that the world is losing each year an area of forest equal to the size of Greece. That means the arable land is significantly decreasing. It's all over the world, not only in Asia. Why? Some is due to logging, some is due to urban sprawl, but most of it is actually caused by farmers. And another reason I can give you is low productivity growth. Most of the developing world has very, very low productivity growth. Yet, population are expanding and more agricultural products are being produced. But we have very, very low productivity growth. Another reason is government policies are prejudicial against agriculture. In this regard, if you review literature, you will find vast literature on this. So literally hundreds of thousands of articles and books have been written about why this situation is persistent. So most of them find that this situation persists because government policies in developing countries are prejudicial against agriculture. That means the most developing countries, not all, the most developing countries have policies that actually discriminate against agriculture. So this is a major concern. So many of them neglect the rural populations in terms of health and education. So it is very difficult to imagine that farm productivity, in order to increase farm productivity, or in order to adopt modern technology, we always train illiterate people. That means who are uneducated. So it does not work in any other business. It does not work in farming either. That largely caused by the neglect of government. That's why the farmers have lack access to credit, lack access to technology, modern technology, lack access to roads, lack access to water, lack access to anything is not there, they are not going to develop their culture. Then the last but not least, another reason why we are concerned is ineffective agricultural aid. As you know that billions of dollars have been shifted to developing countries through aid. So who are the major recipient? Of course, agriculture has been a major recipient of that. But what is the problem? The problem is that after 50 years of that agricultural aid, we still have very much similar as 50 years ago. But agricultural aid was a good intention, but this good intention has not worked. Did not function well because of or due to ineffective agricultural aid. So I'll give you an example of some successful countries who use agricultural aid effectively. Let's say that, for example, China, Vietnam, and Korea in Asia have done pretty well in their agriculture because they use their agricultural aid effectively. Other than Asia, if you look at Latin America, Chile, Peru, they also did very good, pretty good. And right now, their agriculture is growing very fast. And China also have heavier public investment in agriculture, particularly China and Vietnam. So they have invested in agriculture, in infrastructure, like in water, in irrigation, in technology. Let me cite one more example from China. There is one city in China, okay? So that was set up purely for the purpose of developing agricultural technology with the schools, okay? So that were attached to that technological development. So this is another initiative is taken by China. So these countries, basically I mentioned the China, Vietnam, Korea, as well as Latin America, Chile, Peru. So these countries where agricultural aid has been most effective, the aid from the UN and the World Bank. So we can understand that there is a clear some correlations between policies, government policies, which are pro-agriculture. So that's why these are the major concern about agricultural development in Asia. Let's move on. So what is the main purpose of having sustainable agricultural development? I think all of you are familiar with this dimension of sustainability, okay? So three-legged stool of sustainability. So we want to have sustainable agriculture. So that means sustainable agriculture should encompass three dimensions of sustainability. One is economic sustainability. So it should be sustainable agricultural development would be economically sustainable. That means it provides a secure living for farm families. It will provide a secure living to other workers in the food system. It provides access to good food for all. And another purpose is sustainable agriculture is environmentally sound. That means it preserves the quality of soil. It preserves the soil fertility. It conserves water as well as air. So it is environmentally sound. And it is also socially sustainable. How? Because it is good for families, farm families, and others who are involved in the food system. It also supports communities, and it is fair to all involved in this. So that means the main purpose of sustainable agriculture to ensure sustainability. Sustainability refers to 3 dimensions of sustainable development. Look at this picture. Do you think, is it sustainable agriculture? The farmer is applying fertilizer. Looking at this picture, we could say that it is not sustainable agricultural practice because he is applying fertilizer, chemical-based fertilizer, which is not environmentally friendly. But it can give you bumper production. That means it is economically viable, okay? And also it can support community. That means it is socially acceptable. But it is not environmentally friendly. So in order to have sustainable agricultural development, we should have sustainable agricultural development should encompass 3 dimensions of sustainability, okay? It should be economically viable, it should be socially acceptable, as well as it should be environmentally friendly. So if you look at this diagram, so if you have economically viable and socially acceptable, okay, you cannot say it is sustainable agricultural practices. If you have environmental friendly product as well as socially acceptable, you cannot say it is sustainable agriculture. It is, you can say viable, bearable, okay, equitable, but not sustainable. Okay, let's move on. So then, why sustainable agriculture is important? Let me share some reasons why sustainable agriculture is important for our future. Number 1 is to restore and nourish the soil. Healthy soil leads to healthier plants and animals, resulting in much more nutritious food for people. That's why we need sustainable agriculture. Then, sustainable agriculture works in harmony with nature and not against it. It's not against the environment. Then sustainable agricultural practices strive to reduce energy use at all levels. Beyond embracing less energy intensive forms of agricultural production, we can design farming systems that work smarter, not harder, and systems that will become more productive and efficient with each passing year. Then sustainable farming protects and conserves water, and also to value diversity. This is because sustainable agriculture embraces diverse farming systems that incorporate a variety of crops instead of just a few selected monocultural crops. So such diversity leads to greater resiliency in the face of drought, in the face of diseases, in the face of pests. Since a sustainable farm is not as dependent upon a single crops, okay, or just a few primary crops of income. Then, sustainable agriculture provides resilience in a world of climate change. We are facing serious problems of climate change. Then local sustainable agriculture is good, support local communities and economies. And true sustainable agriculture is good for people, the planet, and also it is profitable. So these are the some importance of having sustainable agriculture. So let's talk about some challenges we face to sustainable agricultural practices. So the prominent challenges include land and water issues, because we are involved, unsustainable agricultural practices involved in land degradation, and also we do not use our water efficiently. So we have shortage of fresh water. Then another challenge is we still use old cultivation techniques. We need to shift to modern technology. Then we have lack of information on market. And also we are facing huge problem of poverty. As I mentioned, that approximately 1 billion people live in extreme poverty, and 720 to 811 million people suffering from hunger. Then we are facing serious problem about the degradation of natural resources and environmental issues. Then population growth. As we mentioned that now we have more than 7 billion population in this world, but it is projected that by 2050, it will be approximately 10 billion population in this world. So the population is growing significantly. Then inadequate support services. This is another issue we are facing. Then we have problem with the framework and institutional constraint we are facing, and lack of agricultural and natural development policies. We do not have appropriate or integrated policy for agricultural and rural development. Then we are facing sustainability and level of action. As we know that farmers must be motivated to use coordinated resource management, for example, pest and predator management, nutrient management, controlling the contamination of aquifers, surface water courses, coordinated livestock management, conserving soil and water resources, and seed stock management. So we need the coordination approach, okay? So the success of sustainable agriculture not only depend on individual farmers, but also action taken by groups or communities as a whole. Then resource conserving technology development and transfer, another challenge. As we know that although many resource conserving technologies and practices have been widely proven on research stations to be both productive and sustainable, but the total number of farmers using them is still very, very small. So that means few farmers are able to adopt the whole modern package of production and conservation technologies without considerable adjustment. Because these technologies involve the institution of management skills, knowledge, as well as labor for external inputs. Then incorporating farmer experimentation. But here is problem is that with agricultural science and extension is that it has poorly understood the nature of indigenous and rural people's knowledge. But for many, what rural people know is assumed to be primitive, or we used to say unscientific, or overtaken by development. Formal research and extension must transform what they know as to develop them. So there is cooperation needed. Excuse me? Any issues, please? Let's continue. Or should I stop?
No, no, no. I think for participants, please mute your microphone so then it will be not a noisy. Okay, please continue, Dr. Mahedi.
Okay, let's continue. Okay, our next challenge is from teaching to learning and a whole new professionalism. As we can see, the central principle of sustainable agriculture is that it must enshrine new ways of learning about the world. But learning should not be confused with teaching. So the problems for farmers is that they cannot rely on routine, they cannot rely on calendar-based activities if they engage in sustainable farming. So this is another challenge. We need to train our farmers. The next challenge is from directive to participatory extension. But most of the case, the contract farmers are usually selected on the basis of literacy, on the basis of wealth, on the basis of readiness to change and progressiveness. So this sets them apart from the rest of the community. They are separated from the rest of the community. So the secondary transfer of the technical messages from contract farmers to community has been much less successful than predicted. And adoption rates are commonly very low among non-contact farmers. So this is another challenge we need to overcome. Then, last but not least, challenges for supportive policy process. In order to have successful, sustainable agricultural development, we need policy formulation. As I mentioned earlier, at the right in the beginning, okay? So policy formulation must arise in a new way. Policy process must be enabling, participatory. Everybody can take part in the decision-making process, okay? Everybody has equal chance to participate. Creating the condition for sustainable development based on locally available resources and based on local skills and knowledge. So the newly developed policy should incorporate with local skills, with local available resources, as well as local knowledge. So in order to overcome these challenges to sustainable agricultural practices. Okay, let's look at the roadmap, how we can achieve sustainable agriculture. Roadmap towards sustainable agriculture. So basically, we need to increase smallholder productivity. How? So in this regard, the important knowledge of small-scale farmers about farming can be used to improve agricultural productivity, to improve agricultural resilience, to improve agricultural sustainability. We need to use low input. That means we need to use resources efficiently. And also we need to use agroecological farming techniques to raise yields, productivity, production. And also we need to improve soil fertility, soil quality, need to conserve natural resources, and reduce dependence on expensive inputs. And also we can introduce studies of system of rice intensification, SRI, that might help smallholders farmers to boost their productivity and reduce resilience on input. So this is one way. to achieve sustainable agricultural development. Then, of course, we need to reduce gender inequality. We need to have gender equity. So studies have shown that when women manage household income, money is more likely to go toward improving family, food consumption, child nutrition, education, as well as overall well-being. But women are the major agricultural producer of the developing world. So public spending to increase women's empowerment is essential. Then we need to have also access to network and information. Increasing access of rural families is crucial to improving agricultural output. Sharing indigenous knowledge and technological innovation is an important part of the farmer to farmer training that can spread best practices. So we need to have access to networks and information. The next thing is we need to develop new policies for sustainable agricultural development. So agricultural policy must take into account the wide variety of farms that exist in social, physical, and economic systems. That is the main concern. Once we develop new sustainable agricultural policy. And also we need to keep in mind that community-based integrated water resource management helps communities keep water use within ecological limits. So we must develop new policies for community-based integrated water resource management that will help communities to keep water uses within ecological limits. Then national governments in developing countries should invest in small-scale food producers and natural resource management. But as we mentioned earlier, that some developing and governments of developing countries discriminate agricultural sector. So national government need to pay attention, invest in a small-scale food producer and natural resource management. That means need to increase the public investment for sustainable agricultural development. And also public spending on basic education and social services for women in order to have sustainable agricultural development. Then private agriculture. So private a small-scale food product producer into value chain under fair terms, okay? So they must coordinate with and support community-led plans, which should be developed in a transparent and inclusive manner. And implement agroecological approach to farming and need to share and manage risk associated with agricultural development. Basically, we are facing the serious problem of climate change. So we need to tackle climate change. We need to involve mitigation and adaptation in order to minimize the adverse effect of climate change. As we know that our population is growing faster than, so in order to fit the additional population, we need to concentrate, we need to pay attention to sustainable agricultural development. It is the right time to pay attention towards sustainable agricultural development. So I think that's all from my side. Thank you all for listening. So if you have any clarification, any comments, suggestion, question, you are most welcome. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Dr. Mahedi Masud, for your insightful speech. So please, participants, if you have any question, you can raise your hand and open your mic, or you alternatively you can also write down your question in the chat box. So from the talk of Dr. Mahedi, we know that the DGB share of agricultural sector in Indonesia and also in Malaysia is decreased significantly and continuously year by year. And one of the alternative way to overcome the problem is by doing sustainable agriculture practices. So, and it's really interesting that from the speech of Dr. Mahedi, we know that there are three tools, or let's say dimension, to in the sustainable agriculture, including economy, environment, and community. And well, I can mention that here in the Faculty of Agriculture, Universitas Plus Maret, we have several departments, 7 departments, including agribusiness and also agricultural extension and communication. So we are sure actually that here in the Faculty of Agriculture we can really contribute to the development of sustainable agriculture. But then the thing is we have to work together to reach this goal. And finally, Dr. Mahedi also mentioned the roadmap towards the sustainable agriculture. So maybe in the future, some of us can do, let's say, doctoral study in the one of this particular topic, and if it's possible, then under the supervision of Dr. Mahedi Masud in University of Malaya, let's say, and then so we can learn or study deeper about Indonesia, but we do it in the international level in Malaysia. Okay, please the participant, if you have any question, you can write down in the chat box or open your mic by raising your hand, please. Is there any question for the participants? I think we will have only 12 or 13 minutes because we will finish this event on 3:30. So please, the participants, if you have any question. If not yet, I have a question regarding the your talks. There is, do you think is there any correlation between sustainable agriculture and also ecotourism? Because I read in a paper that if we try to build ecotourism based on agriculture, then it can contribute to the development of sustainable agriculture in that particular area. So what do you think about that, Dr. Mahedi?
Thank you very much, Dr. Dimas. So to answer your question, I would say that there is a correlation between ecotourism and sustainable agricultural development, because this ecotourism is based on environmental friendly system we adapt for tourism development. So as you know that mostly we are facing a lot of environmental issues. So in order to tackle these environmental issues, we cannot concentrate only one sector. We have to concentrate various sectors in order to achieve sustainable development. So tourism sector is one of them, which contributes significantly to our economic development. So that's why we are moving towards ecotourism or community-based ecotourism. And community-based ecotourism, there is one sector which is the agricultural development. So if we can develop agriculture sustainably for ecotourism purpose. So of course, there is a correlation between ecotourism development as well as sustainable agricultural development, because sustainable agricultural development will facilitate the ecotourism development, because sustainable agriculture development will be one important component of ecotourism. And to attract the tourist, environmental friendly tourist, we should focus on sustainable agricultural development as a part of ecotourism. So this way, of course, there is a correlation between ecotourism and sustainable agricultural development. Even if you look at what is called, let me give you an example. I'm working on marine protected area, so ecotourism. So this is, the marine area. So in order to protect this area, the Malaysian government has imposed some restriction that fishermen are not allowed to catch fish within these 2 nautical miles of this island, okay, in order to protect the biodiversity, the marine species, and also the fish, okay? So this is the part of also the sustainable agriculture. And it contribute or attract tourists to visit those places, because finally it contribute to the ecotourism development as well as facilitate sustainable agricultural development. So this way I found there is a high correlation between ecotourism development as well as sustainable agricultural development. I hope I answered your question.
Yes, yes. Okay, so it's really clear that the ecotourism has a strong correlation with the sustainable agriculture development. So I think it will be one of interesting study in the future, because here in the faculty, some of us also do some research in the ecotourism study. So then maybe in the future we can communicate about that later on to, let's say, make a research together, or write a paper together in the future. Okay, I have question, but this is from myself that actually I'm from the Department of Food Science and Technology. So then it's more focused on processing. So what do you think about the contribution of, let's say, the people from the Department of Food Science and Technology in the context of the development of sustainable agriculture? Is that I mean, sustainable agriculture is limited in on-farm aspect, or it also have like a correlation with off-farm aspect, like in food technology? So what do you think about that?
Yeah, thank you. Although it's technology and science is not my piece of cake, but of course there is a strong correlation between these 2 sectors. And as you know that we are talking about the 3 dimensions of sustainability: economic, social, environment. So nowadays we need to work together, social science as well as pure science. So we need to have the combination of these 2 disciplines. So as we mentioned that in order to have sustainable agricultural development, or in order to secure food security, so we need to have technology, integrated management technology. So this technology we cannot develop from the social science perspective. Of course, the science-based discipline should come forward, and we collaborate with the social science. Then we can tackle, or we can achieve the goal of sustainable agricultural development. So let me give you an example. Let's say the Indonesian, there is one program, IPM, Integrated Pest Management in Irrigated Rice. Yeah? I think, of course, you know, the farm level. So this program involves farmers, field school teaching individual farmers to manage their rice flood and ecosystem. So carefully maintaining the balance between pest and their natural problems, natural predators. So, but in order to manage this IPM needs collective management of resources comprising several farms. So we need the technology as well as we need the management skills. So the population of dynamics, let me give you another, the rats. Okay, let's say the one pest is rat, rat. So the dynamic rat, so most important pest in irrigated rice cannot be controlled at the farm level. So if you train the farm how to manage or how to control this rat pest, is sometimes difficult for them. So we need the integrated rat management program, okay? So we need the collective action at the farm level, combination of different in order to control this integrated pest management system. So of course, we should work together. We need to put the collective effort to achieve sustainable agricultural development, because now we need to shift from traditional technology to modern technology. This is the main shifting from agriculture to industry and manufacturing. So without technology, without help of science and technology, we cannot have sustainable agricultural development. Of course, we need support, help, coordination, cooperation from science and technology in order to achieve sustainable agricultural development.
Okay, so yeah, thank you so much for your insights. This
May I answer?
uh,
Yes, Mr.
okay. So, is there any question from the participants? I think, please. Oh yeah.
Okay, thank you very much for this time for me. I want to know how to deal with land conversion in Java so that agriculture is sustainable, especially the population is always increasing and your people young people are less fond of agriculture. Thank you.
Yeah, okay. Thank you, Pak Tarno, for your question. So, yeah, we have a problem about the land conversion from the use of agricultural use to the other, let's say, other property use and some other non-agricultural use. And then the young
Young
people
people are less fond.
is not really interested in the agricultural sector. So,
Yeah,
do you have
interest.
any insight about that, Dr. Mahedi? I don't know,
Thank
maybe
you.
in Malaysia or in Bangladesh also have a similar situation or not. Yeah, maybe you have
Yeah,
any insight about that.
we have
Thank
this
you.
problem, as I mentioned, that land issue, because we need to convert the agricultural land. So I can give you an example. Is long time ago in Bangladesh, the people used to cultivate this land was for agricultural production, but later on they found that this agricultural production is not profitable for them. So they convert this land for the cultivation of the salt. Okay, the salt. So now they are producing the salt. Okay, so it reduced the huge number of agricultural land. So as I mentioned earlier, that the arable land is decreasing across the world, not only Indonesia, not only Bangladesh, in Asia, everywhere. We are losing our agricultural land, arable land, because of some unsustainable practices. So we need to stop these unsustainable agricultural practices. Let's say the example I have given, now they are producing salt. So they will, in near future, they will not be able to, go back to the previous agricultural production, because this land is not anymore suitable for the agricultural production. So we are losing our arable land. So similarly, we are involved with deforestation. Okay, due to logging and due to urban sprawl. So we are facing this problem. But in order to convert the agricultural land, there is another argument I want to add here. As I mentioned right in the beginning, that we want to have sustainable agricultural transformation. Sometimes we need economic transformation, but some people might think that the economic transformation means we have to move or we have to shift from using traditional technology to modern technology. Actually, the case is not like that. For agricultural sector, we need to have sustainable agricultural transformation, because in order to increase the productivity of our agricultural land, we have limited agricultural land. If I think I mentioned earlier that we have 1/5 of agricultural land, world's agricultural land in Asia, 1/5, only 1/5 of world's agricultural land we have. So that means we have limited amount of land. So how we need to convert this land? We need to improve the quality of the land. Okay, so because of unsustainable agricultural practices, we are losing the quality of soil. We are losing the soil fertility. Let me give you an example of India. They have I think you heard the name of Sikkim. Sikkim state is involved with organic farming. Okay, at the beginning they were not successful, and at the beginning they used to receive less amount of production. But in the long run, now they are successful, and now they are having a high volume of production, and their production is increasing. So this way we can conserve our land, because of course I'm not talking about the legal issue of the land conversion. There is some legal issue, okay? So I'm not touching that side, but in order to conserve the land quality, we should stop the unsustainable agricultural practices, and we should focus more on organic farming. At the beginning, it will not be profitable, but in the long run, it will be profitable. And how to make it profitable or how to move on it, of course, we need the support of the government, okay? That's why we need the policy that government or public investment should increase to preserve our land, to conserve our land, to increase the productivity, and to feed our additional population. Otherwise, in the long run, we will face serious consequence. So that's all from my side. Thank you, Dr. Dimas, and thank you, the participant.
Yeah, okay. Thank you so much for your answer. I hope it's already answered the question of Bapak Tarno. Okay, we already 3:30 at this moment, so I don't know, do you still have time, Dr. Mahedi, or you have to leave soon?
If you have a question, please, because I have another appointment.
Okay, so I think our time is already up. So if any participants want to have any question to Dr. Mahedi, or if you want to doing any collaboration with Dr. Mahedi, or maybe you want to be his PhD student in the future, just feel free to contact him. Or you can contact me first, and then we can discuss. I can forward your message to Dr. Mahedi. So then, in the next time, we will have a stronger collaboration in any way. So once again, thank you so much, Dr. Mahedi, for your insightful speech. Then I will not repeat all of your speech, otherwise we will have 3 minutes again. And then I think, because our time is already over and Dr. Mahedi already have another appointment, I would like to thank all of participants for your participation and attendance in this event, and I hope you get a lot of insight this afternoon from Dr. Mahedi. So, and see you on the next event, and thank you. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you so much, Dr. Mahedi.
Thank you, Dr. Dimas, and thank you all participants. Okay, thank you all. Assalamualaikum.
Waalaikumsalam. I will contact you later on after
Yeah,
this. Okay, bye everybody.
contact me, you can email me. I think Dr. Timas has my email address, so you can provide my email address to the participants if they are willing to contact me.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, bye. Thank you everybody and all participants.